Hey guys, so in this video, I am going to respond to your comments. So this is actually quite a long comment, but this was left on a video titled MA Vlog, Let's Talk About Work. So this is where I was just starting out as a medical assistant, and I was kind of sharing, I think it was like the first week or so of my new job working as a medical assistant. And so this is a comment left by Nancy ROZEWICZ 1458. And so if you hear Taffy crying, I'm sorry. Her mother went into town to get her hair cut. So I decided to take this time to film a few videos, and she is just now coming out here to whine. So anyways, Nancy said, are medical assistants allowed to take vitals? Yes. Honestly, I'm going to respond to this right now before I read any more of your comment. Medical assistants, a lot of what we do is taking vitals. So like basically what medical assistants do, at least in the community clinic setting that I work in, I do still work in the community clinics as a call-in person or per diem, but obviously my main job is as a sleep tech currently. But in the community clinic setting, what we end up doing is we room patients for the doctor. So we end up seeing whoever comes in for either an appointment or as a walk-in, and we will pull them into rooms, take their vitals, put them into Epic. We will talk to them about what they're here to be seen for. If they're here for a physical, we will go through that whole process, because that is entirely different from like a problem-based visit to like a wellness-based visit, which is technically what they consider a physical or a Medicare wellness. So like a problem-based visit, when I say that, I mean like someone who's coming in for a sore throat, or they think they have the flu or something like that, compared to someone who is coming in for more of a wellness type visit, which is like a physical, your annual checkup, things like that. So we will pull those people back. We'll bring them into an exam room them for the provider, make sure they have all the information that they need in order to provide the best care possible for the patient. So yes, medical assistants are allowed to take vitals. I should also say not only medical assistants in the community clinic that I work at take vitals, we also have LPNs and we also have CNAs who do room patients for providers, depending on staffing and things like that. So we can either have CNAs, medical assistants, or LPNs. We do have one RN that works in the community clinic, but she's also our employee health nurse, so she doesn't always work in this clinic setting. What state am I in? I live in Michigan. This person has a couple of other questions that are not really related to this particular video, but I'm still going to address them. Why didn't you do agency CNA? You know they make double than staff employees, and you can find 13-week contracts at a time. Let me know your thoughts. So I actually did work as an agency CNA for quite some time, especially during COVID. That was my main position. I worked as an agency CNA, kind of just helping out at different facilities in my local area at that time when COVID was really like rampant. Not that it's not right now, because it has gotten a little bit worse again. But like when COVID first started, I was living in Northwest Indiana, about an hour outside of Chicago. And basically at that time, I was kind of working within a little 20-mile radius and going to different facilities there, getting tested every 2 days. It was kind of a lot, but I was basically just helping out whoever needed coverage. I spent a lot of time working on COVID units, face-to-face, like one-on-one care with COVID positive patients. Never ended up with COVID until after I moved up to Michigan and went to church. And yeah, anyways, that's a whole nother story. But I absolutely have no problem working as an agency CNA. I do think that they tend to get the short end of the stick as far as like the worst assignments, the heaviest assignments, the most difficult patients. But, as far as pay, they were the best position pay-wise that I have ever gotten paid as a CNA. And at that time, they were only paying like $18 an hour in Northwest Indiana. But when you consider in 2016, my very first CNA job in Indiana, I was making $10.10 an hour doing that on a memory care unit. Yeah, to 4 years later, I was making $18 an hour working as an agency CNA. So I don't have any issue working as an agency CNA. I do know that they do make a lot more. And honestly, at the hospital that I work at right now, our CNAs get paid better than the medical assistants. And some of them start out at a higher wage than our LPNs start out as, honestly, if I'm not even lying. So like I said, I definitely feel like people can make a lot of money and do pretty well working as an agency CNA, but I just kind of felt like there were agency CNAs that I worked with in the different facilities that I worked at as a CNA that, like, they didn't give a shit about the residents. Like, they did not care. They were there to make money and go home. And then there were also CNAs that, like, were agency that you could tell, like, they put their heart and soul into caring for these residents. And those were the types of people that I much preferred to see caring for these residents, not the agency CNAs that just didn't give a shit about anything. So here's another one. She said, just saw your other CNA videos again. I'm working in a facility now and I get 20 patients sometimes. Sick of it. The hospital is way easier than a facility and I'm waiting for my license in the next 2 weeks so I can do agency. I've seen pay from $25 to $50 an hour. Right now I get $25, but not happy with that because the cost of living in New Jersey is too high. Yes, and I will say that, like, different areas pay different amounts hourly because of the cost of living. So usually, like, especially California, if you look at like CNA positions in California, you will see that they get paid better. But you also have to take into consideration, like, is it really that much better? Because the cost of living in California is pretty high. So you definitely have to take those things into consideration too when you're looking at positions and pay. I will say that I definitely preferred working as a CNA in the hospital setting better because they had different options for us as far as like lifts. They had, you know, transfer boards and slide boards and things like that, that, like, it made it so much easier. There tended to be more staff. Nurses that I worked with at the hospital tended to be more helpful than nurses in the long-term care, because a lot of the nurses that I interacted with in long-term care just didn't really, it was like they came in to get a paycheck and then they went home. And that's not everybody. Please don't take this the wrong way, because I worked with some pretty amazing nurses who gave me opportunities to learn a lot of things that I wanted to learn, especially when I was like waiting to try to get into nursing school. And I am so forever grateful to those people, because they definitely made me feel like I mattered, made me feel like the care that I provided to these patients mattered. And they showed me different ways of doing things that definitely helped me be a better CNA. So anyways, hopefully that answered all of your questions. Please let me know if you guys have any questions. I am more than happy to address them on a video or just any topic that you would like to hear my thoughts on. And yeah, with that being said, I will talk to you guys next time.